Will the House come to order? Mr. Clerk?
Aloha and good afternoon. Today's invocation will be delivered by Representative Trish LaChica. Will the members who wish to participate please rise?
Members, please remain seated. So as a child, I've always loved reading. And I'm one of those people that constantly has, a towering stack of unfinished books next to my nightstand, which is just going to be forever on my to-do list. But today I wanted to share a story close to my heart because my dream of passing on my love for books to my kids has finally come true. My 7-year-old son, Foggy, like the weather, not Froggy, speaker, Foggy has become a voracious reader. So you can see him, he's just been devouring so many books that he visits our library 1 to 2 times a week. As soon as he comes home from school, he's with a book. Even, visiting the grocery, he's with a book. And my favorite scene is seeing Foggy sitting in our reading chair, the one that my husband and I would use to read to the kids, but instead it's him reading to his own little sister, Ricky. I remember the first book we tackled together. It's a book titled Save the Cake by Molly Cox, and when he was 5, turning 6 years old. So looking at the page, the words were really a mystery to him, all those squiggly lines, the words kind of coming together, and each cake sound, with him sounding them out very hesitantly at first, and then as each day passed, with each day accomplishing more and more words with growing confidence. And it took us a week to finish that book, but now he devours stories like a tiny dragon. And when I asked him this week what it is about reading that he loves so much, it made my heart soar. He said, "It makes me feel adventurous, Mama." And isn't that what we also feel here in this grand building, in this grand adventure we call the legislative session? We might not wield magical swords or embark on quests, mythical quests, but the stories that we craft through bills and the stories we share here on the floor have the power to shape real lives, real futures. We are the authors, weaving chapters that impact education, healthcare, housing, public safety, the very fabric of our communities. And we're also sometimes the characters in these narratives, navigating difficult scenarios and really fighting and advocating for what we feel is right. So, esteemed colleagues, let's never forget the weight of each word we write. Each law, each amendment is a chapter being rewritten, carrying the hopes and the dreams of countless stories within it. These are stories that are lived and experienced by the very people that we represent. So as session progresses, my wish is that we write a story together worthy of Foggy's adventurous spirit so that every child can dream big, every family thrives, and our beloved island home flourishes. Mahalo.
Thank you, Representative LaChica. Let's move on to item 1. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Ayu, Mr. Alcos, Ms. Amato, Ms. Bellotti, Mr. Chun, Ms. Cochran, Mr. Evslin, Mr. Ganadin,
Excuse.
Mr. Garcia, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Gates,
Excuse.
Mr. Hashem, Mr. Holt, Ms. Hussey Burdick, Ms. Ichiyama, Ms. Kahaloa, Ms. Capella,
Present.
Mr. Kila, Ms. Kitagawa, Mr. Kobayashi, Mr. Kong, Ms. LaChica, Ms. Lamosao, Ms. Lowen, Ms. Martin, Ms. Martinez, Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto, Mr. Miyake, Ms. Mizuno, Ms. Morikawa, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Nakashima,
Excuse.
Mr. Nishimoto, Mr. Onishi, Ms. Peruso, Mr. Pierick, Ms. Poe Poe, Mr. Quinlan, Mr. Saiki, Mr. Sayama, Ms. Souza, Mr. Takayama, Ms. Takenouchi, Mr. Tam, Mr. Tarnas, Mr. Todd, Mr. Ward, Mr. Woodson, Mr. Yamashita, Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, 48 members are present, 3 are excused.
Thank you. Item 2, reading of the journal. Representative Markawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 4th through the 11th days and approve the same as though read throughout.
Representative Garcia.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the journals days 4 through 11 be approved. Any discussions? If not, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Item 3, messages from the governor. Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the governor?
Mr. Speaker, there are none.
Item 4, Mr. Clerk, are there any Senate communications?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are in receipt of a communication returning House Bill number 129, having passed third reading in the Senate.
Members, please note that HB 129 passed third reading in the House during the regular session of 2023, Article 3, Section 15 of the Hawaii State Constitution requires that a carryover bill pass at least one reading in the originating House before being enrolled to the governor. Therefore, we will take a final reading action on this measure during Monday's floor session. Mr. Clerk, are there additional Senate communications?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are in further receipt of a communication returning House Bill number 824, House Draft 2, Senate Draft 1, having passed third reading in the Senate.
Representative Nakamura for the motion to disagree.
Mr. Speaker, I move to disagree to the amendments made by the Senate to the House Bill number 824, House Draft 2.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Any discussions? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Members, are there any introductions? Representative Peruso.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to welcome my office manager, Yvonne Euro. If you could please stand when I call your name. So Yvonne Euro is my office manager. Alexander Pierney is our intern from UH, and Diego Carranza is our committee clerk. So welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Capella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery today are two incredible advocates from Hi-Fi, Nate Hicks and Peggy Mirzwa. Thank you for all you do and welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Matayoshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Here in the audience today, we have some students from Castle High's Innovation Academy and their teachers, Kumu Pokipala and Kumu Panakea. Please rise. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative LaChica.
Speaker, in the gallery are my staff, and which have been so tremendous in helping me with everything and managing this session, and also infecting the other members and other offices with such a positive spirit. So please rise, my office manager, Erin Conway, and committee clerk, Erica Anderson. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Ayu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce a staffer from my office as well. Shansani Poli, welcome to your House of Representatives.
Members, with no further introductions, let's move on to the order of the day. Actually, let's move on to item 5, floor presentations. Mr. Clerk, are there any floor presentations?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. House Resolution number 4, congratulating the 2023 National Future Farmers of America Agri-Science Fair champions from the Future Farmers of America chapters in Waipahu. This resolution is offered by Representative Lamasao.
Representative Lamasao.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Representative Chan.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. Representative Lamasao for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm in strong support of this resolution. Members, today we celebrate the remarkable achievements of our young ambassadors from Hawaii. They have not only showcased unparalleled pride, but have also exemplified excellence in representing our state. These exceptional individuals are part of the esteemed Future Farmers of America, a vibrant youth organization dedicated to nurturing premier leadership, fostering personal growth, and fostering career success through agricultural education. FFA is a platform where potential is forged and talents are uncovered through immersive and hands-on experiences, equipping its members with the essential tools for navigating the complexities of the real world. The triumphs of these future leaders serve as a testament to the boundless opportunities available to FFA members, who emerge as architects of tomorrow's agricultural landscape, scientists, veterinarians, public servants, entrepreneurs, financiers, global business tycoons, educators, and foremost professionals across a myriad of vocations. Last year, 15 exceptional students from the FFA chapters of Waipahu High School and Waipahu Intermediate, home of the Marauders, qualified for the prestigious National FFA Convention and Expo. They competed with over 90,000 peers nationwide and secured their rightful places at the event. Today, we pay tribute to these students for their unwavering dedication and for bringing honor to Hawaii on a national stage. Go Marauders. Some even received top honors in their respective categories, which is remarkable. Allow me to honor and spotlight the following extraordinary achievers. Students, stand as your name is called. Angelo Luigi Agarano and Sean Michael Valencia Monte, champions of the National FFA National Agri-Science Fair Environmental Services Natural Resources Systems Division in Division 6. I also like to add that Angelo is also a future environmental scientist, and Sean is a future is an aspiring politician and environmental scientist. His slogan is "Make Hawaii Green Again." Thank you. And also, please members. We'd like to also congratulate Travis Cabulera and LJ Ascension, who also are national champions for the Animal Systems in Division 2. Mahalo, LJ and Travis. They are also our future environmental architects, civil engineers, and our future leaders of Waipahu. And last but not least, Nicholas Nishimura. He is a national champion of the Environmental Service Natural Resource Systems in Division 1. He aspires to be our future president, and his slogan is "Make America Green Again." And he is also aspiring ag entrepreneur. Mahalo, Nicholas. These students represent the best qualities of education, resilience, and unwavering commitment to their academic pursuits. They serve as shining examples of inspiration for our community and bring immense pride to Hawaii. Members, please help me extend a heartfelt congratulations to them for their exceptional accomplishments. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I now yield my time to the other representative from Waipahu.
Representative Chun.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my other colleague, the representative from Waipahu. So, Mr. Speaker, in addition to the students before you, we also have 9 members of the Waipahu FFA team attending in the gallery. So students, please rise when I call your name. Jaden Kaskayan, parliamentary procedure participant. Jason Garcia, second place, Plant System Division 2. Ednis Julitan, second place, Plant Division System System Division 2, Giselle Lazaro, 7th place, Social Science Division 1. Madison Martinez, 6th place, Social Science Division 1. Madison Miyasato, 5th place, Food Products and Processing System Division 1. Eric Wen, 4th, Power Structural and Technical Division 1. Zyren Pua, 7th place, Social Science Division 1. And Riley Sabuko, 5th place, Animal Science Systems Division 1. And along with these students are their chaperones, FFA advisor Jeffrey Garvey, Matthew Mitsuyuki, Waipahu High School's assistant principal, and Shannon Wolpiuk, Kupu Hawaii educational leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for being here.
Members, all those in favor say aye. The motion is carried. Representative Lamasal, please proceed with the certificate and lay presentation. The chair will call a recess to allow the members of the House to meet and congratulate the honorees. Recess. Will the House come to order? Mr. Clerk, we are on item 6, reports of standing committees. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee report numbers 158-24 through 217-24 as listed on pages 2 through 18, and that the accompanying House bills as amended pass second reading and be referred to their designated committees.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Any discussion on STANCOM report 158-24? Representative Kong.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
Same request.
So ordered. Moving on to SER 159-24. Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Proceed.
My understanding is that this bill would acquire property from the private sector and make it a public sector affordable housing project. If we look at the history of the state, a lot of our housing that comes from the government becomes less of a quality versus what the private sector can offer us. I think the private sector often supersedes what the public sector can offer us with regards to housing. So I'm against spending millions of dollars to buy property so that the state can then rent it out.
Thank you. Members, we're going to move on to SCR 160-24. Representative Holt.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Moving on to SCR 161-24. Next page, SCR 162-24. SCR 163-24, Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Moving to SCR 164-24, Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Proceed.
My understanding is that this bill would burden companies when they're making construction projects to include electric charging stations. We want the economy to flourish. And if we're increasing the cost for construction with charging stations, this is going to hurt the economy.
Thank you. Representative Lowen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support, just to clarify, this bill would, there's already an existing requirement under law for one EV charger per 100 stalls. This bill would just require that those stalls needed to be built where that project was taking place and couldn't be aggregated to another island or another location on the same island, so it's good for neighbor islands. And in addition, it would give counties the authority, which we think they may already have, but they want a clarification on, and some counties have moved forward with this, but give counties the authority to require more EV chargers than the one that's required under state law, but it does not increase any requirements that are under state law.
Thank you. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Members, we're going to move on to 165-24. Next page. 166-24. SCR 167-24, Representative Garcia.
166, Mr. Speaker.
Let's finish up 167. All right, members. Going to SCR 166-24, Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Moving on to SCR 168-24. Next page. SCR 169-24. SCR 170-24. SCR 171-24, Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Proceed.
I appreciate the intent of this bill, but my understanding is that this bill would appropriate funds towards the University of Hawaii, which is using tax dollars for public education. If we ask ourselves, what about the truck drivers, the waitresses, and people that don't need a college degree to get a job? They're being taxed for this college, so I disagree with that.
All right, members, let's move on to SCR 172-24. Next page. SCR 173-24. SCR 174-24. SCR 175-24. SCR 176-24. Next page. SCR 177-24. SCR 178-24. SCR 179-24. SCR 180-24. Next page. SCR 181-24, SCR 182-24, SCR 183-24, SCR 184-24. Next page, SCR 185-24, SCR 186-24, SCR 187-24. Representative Pyrick.
In support.
So ordered. Proceed.
I would like to thank the introducers of this bill. This bill decreases red tape, which preserves some property in Hawaii to be historic, and it expands what is the definition of historic to allow for projects to be moved along faster, which can help create a better economy with more affordable housing.
Thank you. Representative Capella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote.
So ordered. Representative Peruso.
Same request.
So ordered. Moving on. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, when we have a moment, can we go back to Stancom 173-24?
Yes, let's finish up 187 and we'll go back to 173. Thank you. Our members, Representative Hussey Burdick?
187?
No, yes, 187, we're still on there.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. All right, members, with no further comments on 187, let's move back to SCR 173. Representative Peruso?
My apologies, Mr. Speaker, no vote.
So ordered. All right, members, with no further comments on 173, we're going to go back to page 9, SCR 188-24. Representative Garcia?
Reservations.
So ordered. Next page, SCR 189-24. SCR 190-24. Representative Lowen?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support.
Proceed.
But I just wanted to raise a few things I think everyone should be aware of. Part of this bill would allow Hawaiian Electric to take out because they have a really bad credit rating right now, part of what this bill would do would allow them to take out a bond securitized by ratepayers, which means it would be backed by a new fee on electric bills. And that's a big ask. So I just think everyone should be paying close attention to this. I had the Hawaii State Energy Office look at some numbers they could try to ballpark for us of what it would cost, because Hawaiian Electric is saying they have no idea, they can't give us any numbers. And it would be, if it was kind of based on a range of 5 to 6% interest rate, and looking at how Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority did something similar. If it was a bond for $500 million, it would be between $5.79 to $6.39 a month on every ratepayer's electric bill. If the bond was for more, which isn't definitely not out of the realm of possibility, if the bond was for $1 billion or $2 billion, then those would raise proportionally. So you could double that to $12.70 something cents on the outside, or for a $2 billion bond, we'd be looking at more than $25 a month for every ratepayer. So I just think everyone should be paying close attention to this bill and making sure that we're holding Hawaiian Electric accountable to answer our questions that we have about how they're going to spend the money if we authorize it, and what they're doing internally with their company to try to find savings and other means of addressing this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, members, we're going to move on to SCR 191-24. Next page.
Mr. Speaker,
Representative Lowen?
are we still on 191-24?
We are SCR 191-24. Proceed.
With reservations.
So ordered.
This bill has, again, another really big give to the electric company, and it has just a lot of big blanks in it. It's a board made of unknown membership with an unknown number of members to be appointed by the governor. And it's requesting the state and the electric utility and other entities like private landowners donate or put in unknown funds, amount of money into this wildfire fund, which will help to offset some of the liability costs that potentially could be falling on the electric utility. And I just think, again, we should all be paying close attention because we're moving this forward and there's just a lot of blanks in this bill.
Thank you. Representative Capella?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With reservation.
So ordered. Representative Peruso.
Same request.
So ordered. All right, members, we're going to move on to the next page. SCR 192-24. SCR 193-24. SCR 194-24. Representative Pierick.
In opposition?
Proceed.
I think the measure to decrease smoking and decrease e-cigarette smoking is a very admirable thing. We should decrease that in our state, but this is increasing taxes, I believe, at the county level for that. So I think taxes is more of a state issue with regards to products, so I'm voting no.
Thank you. All right, members, we're going to go on to the next page. SCR 195-24. SCR 196-24, Representative Capella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote.
So ordered. Representative Peruso.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. All right, moving on to SCR 197-24, Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Pierick.
In opposition?
So ordered. Proceed.
My understanding is that this bill provides universal access to affordable, high-quality health care and health insurance. This would mean appropriating funds, excuse me, a task force for that. So if that would eventually become implemented, we would be spending taxes on universal health care. So vegans and pescatarians, people that are stewarding their bodies well, they're exercising, they're getting a lot of sleep, their tax dollars is going towards people who are obese, getting heart attack, other kinds of diseases. So I don't think it's fair when we're taxing the healthy to provide health care for
Point
the
of
sick.
order.
Your point of order, Representative Peruso.
I'm worried that this is shaming carnivores.
Representative Pierick, you're finished with your comments, so let's move on. Representative LaChica.
Speaker, on 197-24,
Proceed.
in support, for what the previous speaker just wanted to correct that this does not include any appropriation. It's merely setting up a task force so that we as a state, can continue a lot of the legacy with the Prepaid Healthcare Act, but really looking at the various disparities of folks who are uninsured, who have costs, who have different pre-existing conditions as well as chronic diseases and any other things that impact them. And so it's just an improvement for quality and access to healthcare. Mahalo.
Thank you. Representative Capella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In strong support. Can I adopt the words of the previous speaker?
So ordered.
And just say, I just want to say that healthcare is a right.
All right, members. With no further comments, let's move on to SCR 198-24. Next page. SCR 199-24. SCR 200-24. SCR 201-24. Next, Representative Garcia.
In opposition.
So ordered. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, this bill, House Bill 2436 for medical care for minors. It allows a minor, any person between the age of 14 to 17, to consent to the provision of medical care and services. No consent of any other persons, that's parent, caregiver, or guardian, shall be required to authorize services. Information such as pregnancy or sexual health may, not shall, may be disclosed to parents, guardians, or caregivers at the discretion of a medical provider after consultation with the minor. Establishes policies and procedures between providers, covered entities, and minors to withhold information of medical services from parents and guardians based on the discretion of the minor. This is a blatant attack on parental rights, and it's sad to see that this seems to be the common thread through this legislature to attack parents, the family unit, and their rights. My question is, what happens if something dangerous happens, God forbid a minor dies by consenting to a medical procedure? Who's held liable if parents are not aware? This is ridiculous. No vote.
Representative Todd.
Hi, thank you. In support.
Proceed.
I just wanted to point out that, contrary to a lot of the public discourse right now, the most common form of sexual assault is typically with a family member. Unfortunately, it's just our reality. family member or a close acquaintance. And I think there are a number of times we can imagine where a minor may not want to consult a parent who may be the actual abuser in these cases. So while I understand the concerns, and I think those concerns are valid, I do think we need to recognize the reality of our public health care situation at the moment. And it's an unfortunate reality that you may want to seek care in these cases without disclosure. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Ward.
Thank you, Speaker. A no vote based upon the fact that we need to strengthen, not weaken, Hawaiian families. And Mr. Speaker, most on this floor we have weakened rather than strengthened Hawaii's families.
Representative Brusso.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, in strong support, and I'd like to adopt the words of the representative from Hilo as if they were my own.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto.
Reservations and permission to insert written comments into the journal.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Pierick.
In opposition.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, we need parents. Minors are not independent enough to know what's best for them at 14 years old with regards to their medical decisions. The brain is not fully developed until 25 years old. Parents are oftentimes above 25 years old of children who are 14 years, and I think their decisions, their input is very valid in medical care services.
Representative Tam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, in support.
Proceed.
When it comes down to this bill, I just want to make it very clear that a minor can consent to treatment of the disease if they have it. They can consent to testing of the disease, but they, unfortunately, as the laws right now are written, they can't have preventative care. And bill is all about preventative care. And permission to insert further written comments in support.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Kong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote.
So ordered. Members, we're going to move on. Representative Garcia.
Second time, still in opposition. Just want to say, using the excuse that some kids are abused by their family and parents, and using that to premise taking away all parents' rights, I just don't see the correlation there. It's bad situations happen, and there are lots of situations where families are involved in abuse, and that's wrong, it's sad, it's horrible, but why use that as an excuse to take away every other parent's right in this state? Parents have the right to raise their kids the way they want to raise their kids, and it's not government's job to step in that way and tell families what to do. No vote.
Thank you. Representative Bellotti.
In support, very briefly, I would suggest the reading of the bill because this does not take away all parents, all of their rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Martin.
Thank you. I just wanted to note that the only thing that's added in this bill,
support.
In strong support,
Thank you.
is treating STDs, and that's a really serious thing. A young person might not want to disclose to their parents that they're sexually active, but failing to treat an STD can result in all kinds of problems, including lifelong sterility. So hiding something from your parents could result in lifelong consequences that could be very easily treated and spread. So, thank you.
Representative Kobayashi.
Mr. Speaker, may I yield to Representative Garrett for a late introduction?
Let's finish up this discussions, and then we'll possibly break. Any other comments? All right. We have completed SCR 201-24. Next page. We're going to call, the chair's going to call a recess. Recess. All right, members, let's do a break and do a late introductions. Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With us in the gallery today is a very distinguished delegation of members of the Ehime Prefectural Assembly. For those of you who don't know, Ehime Prefecture is located in Shikoku, which is the smallest of the 4 major islands of Japan. Even though I was born and raised in Japan, I've personally never been to Shikoku, but I do have ancestral ties to the region because the Kameda side of my family is from Tokushima, on the eastern end of that island. The delegation is here under very somber circumstances. They're here to commemorate what would be the 23rd anniversary of the tragic Ehime Maru incident, in which 9 souls were lost when the USS Greenville struck the fishing vessel off the south shore of Oahu. Among the 9 fatalities were 4 high school students, 3 crew members, and 2 teachers. I do encourage everyone to visit the memorial located at Kaka'ako Waterfront Park. Members may just ask for your indulgence in holding your applause until the end of the introductions. じゃあ、愛媛県の皆様、これから紹介しますので、名前が呼ばれたら立ってください。よろしくお願いします。We'll start with the chair of the Ehime Prefectural Assembly, Takayama Yasuhito. Next is Kaino Junnosuke, Yamamoto Taichi, Akehi Shoji, Watanabe Hiroshi, Oishi Go, Takahashi Hideyuki, aloha, Yamasaki Hiroyasu, Omasa Hirofumi, Ishikawa Tsuyoshi, Nagayasu Hideki, Ishikawa Minoru, and joining them, I believe, is their translator, Yamamoto-san. Is he here? Oh, and he serves as their ippei to their shohei. Hawaii Shugikai, Kaien Yokoso. Welcome to the Hawaii State House of Representatives.
Thank you, Representative Garrett. All right, members, we're going to go back to our order of the day, SCR 202-24. Representative Perrick.
In opposition.
Proceed.
This bill taxes the rich to give benefits to the poor. If somebody tries hard and they become well off, this bill would target them and tax them towards people who sometimes don't try hard and try to mooch off of the system or mooch off of the state. So I don't support this.
Thank you, Representative Quinlan.
In strong support, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Unfortunately, in the America of today, you don't get rich by trying hard. You get rich by being born rich. Thank you.
Representative Kong.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With reservations.
Reservation, so ordered. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Mr. Speaker, with reservation on the bill, as well as the comment from the gentleman from the North Shore, because America is based upon hard work, effort, education, training, and the America that he's talking about does not exist except for those who don't have the initiative to go and become entrepreneurial, innovative, and creative. Mr. Speaker, this is a battle of values. This is a matter of values.
Hold on, members, hold on. What's your point of order, Representative Peruso?
I'm concerned that he's disparaging people who are living in poverty.
This is a point of personal privilege where he denigrated my nation
Representative Ward,
in front of everybody.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
You don't denigrate America
Address
and
the
say it's
rostrum.
worthless people.
Hold on, members. Members, hold on for
Speaker,
a second.
recess.
Speaker, recess, please.
We're going to call a recess. Will the House come to order? Representative Ward, would you like to finish your comment? And
I'd like to thank the gentleman from the North Shore. We just shook hands and we're all copacetic.
Thank you. All right, members, Representative Garcia.
Just a point of parliamentary inquiry. Just a reminder, Mr. Speaker, a simple disagreement with the statement doesn't warrant a point of order. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, members. Representative Pierrick, second time.
Thank you. In response to a previous comment on opposition,
Proceed.
in response to a previous comment that people are born rich and that's how they become rich in America and they can't become rich through trying hard through capitalism. My grandfather was in poverty. My dad talks about stories of basically them eating dog food when they got so poor. My family, me growing up in Hawaii, we were in welfare growing up in Hawaii, and we can work past that. My dad is he's not poor anymore. I don't think I'm poor anymore, and it's not because we were born into it. We tried hard.
Representative Quinlan, second time.
Just to further clarify my earlier remarks, there is a social mobility index that ranks countries. What is a social mobility index? It measures your ability to be born poor in a country and to die wealthy. The United States has one of the lowest rankings of any first world nation, behind such luminaries as Portugal, South Korea, and Lithuania. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Speaker.
The chair will
Mr.
call
Speaker,
a recess. Recess. Will the House come to order? Members, with no further comments, let's move on to the next bill. SCR 203-24. SCR 204-24. Next page. SCR 205-24. SCR 206-24. SCR 207-24. Representative Garcia.
In opposition.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 2079. I want to read from page 48, lines 9 through 17. A court of this state shall have temporary emergency jurisdiction if the child is present in this state and the child has been abandoned, or it is necessary in an emergency to protect the child because, item 2, the child has been unable to obtain gender-affirming health care services. Once again, it's a blatant attack on parental rights. Parents have the right to raise their children the way they want, and I have no problem with anyone making their own decisions about their own life, their own gender, their own expression. If you are an adult, let parents raise the kids they want, the way they want to raise their kids, and allowing gender-affirming care for minors, in my opinion, is mutilation. No vote.
Thank you. Representative Kong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote.
So ordered. Representative Valcos.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Speaker, no vote. And we have just proven the fact that we are diminishing the rights of the family consistently every session. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, members. Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Capella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In strong support.
Proceed.
And I would just like to say that this bill, it's supposed, the premise is supposed to be able to help students or minors that are often kicked out of their homes if their parents don't agree with what this child believes that they are who they're meant to be. So all across the nation, we are witnessing attacks on gender-affirming care and reproductive rights. This bill is an attempt to preserve basic civil liberties for Hawaii's people. This bill acts as a shield from overreaching out-of-state prosecution and out-of-state subpoenas for gender-affirming care providers. It protects families from having their keiki removed by out-of-state agencies for either receiving or providing access to gender-affirming care, something we have seen other states attempt to do. And it increases equitable access to gender-affirming care services performed by local healthcare providers by protecting those providers from legal assaults by other states. Hawaii has long been a leader in defending the rights of our LGBTQ plus community. This bill strengthens that legacy for future generations.
Thank you. Representative Peruso,
In strong support,
proceed.
I'd like the remarks of the previous speaker to be entered into the journal as if they were my own.
So ordered. Representative Tam,
Same request and permission to insert written comments in support.
so ordered. Members, Representative Amato.
Thank you, Speaker. In strong support, healthcare is a human right, and one of the most important jobs any legislator can do is reaffirm society's protections at the state level. I request permission to insert additional comments into the journal.
So ordered. Representative Garcia,
Second time in opposition still. Just wanted to give a reminder, Mr. Speaker, that the children of Hawaii does not belong to government, and how dare government once again step in and tell parents how they can and cannot raise their child. This is life-changing. This is life-altering for children. This isn't just a Tylenol pill or an Advil. This is life-altering, permanent things that will happen to them and change them forever. This is, I mean, I just don't understand why more people aren't enraged about this. Let parents raise their kids the way they want to raise them. No vote.
All right, members, let's move on to SCR 208-24. Representative Kitagawa,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In opposition and a comment.
proceed.
This bill would allow psilocybin, more commonly known as magic mushrooms, for therapeutic use. Currently, psilocybin is listed under federal and state law as a Schedule I controlled substance, which means that it has a high potential for abuse and no recognized medicinal uses. Currently, only Colorado and Oregon allow psilocybin for medicinal use, and it is not legal at the federal level and in the majority of states. In testimony, the Department of Law Enforcement, as well as the Hawaii Medical Association, which represents Hawaii's physicians and medical residents and students from all specialties and practices, testified in opposition to this bill. They state that although psilocybin has shown some promise, the safety and efficacy to treat mental health conditions has not been established, and that further studies and medical research need to be conducted. The Department of Law Enforcement has also indicated that this bill lacks appropriate safeguards, and in reading this bill, I would have to agree. This could include ensuring that only patients are able to use psilocybin and that it doesn't become available to those who should not have it, like our youth. In addition, the Hawaii Psychological Association provided comments on this bill and agreed that more study is needed. I believe that this bill is premature at this time, and we don't have enough data or research to safely indicate that psilocybin's benefits outweigh the concerns. For these reasons, I'm in opposition to this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Tardis,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support.
proceed.
Thank you. The testimony from the Department of Law Enforcement acknowledged that psilocybin is actually recognized as a breakthrough technology. It was explained to us that the Food and Drug Administration has listed this as a breakthrough technology, which means that there are therapeutic uses and that they will move expeditiously in order to properly schedule this for use for therapeutic purposes. So this measure, I think, is a measured step forward. It's not opening up the door to allow unfettered use, and it's looking to the professionals who are trained in this area to help guide us going forward. And so I think this is a good measure, and I'm asking support from the other members. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Kila,
Mr. Speaker, no vote, and may I adopt the words of the Vice Chair of Finance.
so ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Kobayashi,
Mr. Speaker, in opposition.
proceed.
My opposition is in deference to the Hawaii Medical Association, who likely knows a little bit more about mental health treatment than I do or will ever know, especially when it deals with a hallucinogenic treatment that has not been approved by the U.S. government or the Food and Drug Administration. Psilocybin is recognized as a possible breakthrough therapy, but I think that is still premature, especially given the testimony of the Department of Law Enforcement, who says that now there could be any number of people who would possess this without any evidence of registration or intended use. So for those reasons, I'm no. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Matsumoto?
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Matayoshi?
No vote, Mr. Speaker. Brief comment.
Proceed.
As the chair of Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs stated, this drug may be a breakthrough drug, but it might not be. And they're going through the process right now. I feel like it needs to play out at the federal level, and it's premature at this time for us to jump the gun and pass this bill. Thank you.
Members, just as a reminder, this is our first reading of this bill, and it will go through many committees, or second reading. And forgive me. So I just want to mention that there are going to be other committees that this bill will go through. I know we're having a healthy discussion, but I just want to send that reminder. Representative Amato?
Thank you, Speaker, in strong support. Psilocybin is converted in the body to psilocil, which affects hydroxytryptophan receptors, which modulate serotonin, which provides a feeling of well-being. This therapy has a lot of advantages over SSRI-based therapies. And quite frankly, I have a constituent who is alive today because of this therapy. So thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Garcia?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote and a brief comment.
Proceed.
I just want to remind the body that this is a free country and it is second reading, but feel free to speak your mind. People are allowed to speak on second reading. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Ward?
Speaker, no vote, and may I ask the good office of the Vice Chair of Finance, her remarks be entered into the journal as if they were my own. She was spot on. But I would, Mr. Speaker, remind the people of what's going on mentally in this nation. Why are people shooting themselves? Why are the prisons filled with mental, unfortunately unable to adapt to normal society? Why are the homeless, 80% of them, having so mental? It's because of these numbing and dumbing down drugs. And you want to talk about mushrooms? Look what Oregon did. Oregon opened the door to any kind of drugs, and they, particularly in the capital city, they've got just a swath of people who are enabled by people in bodies like this who say, hey, it's okay, man, go for it. We're on the precipice of legalizing recreational marijuana, not learning from what has happened in Colorado, not what's happened in California, where the cartels are taking over, the Chinese are taking over, they've got 80% of the black market taking over. Mr. Speaker, what are we trying to enable? Are we trying to make a better population for the people of Hawaii, or are we trying to push them down the hole, and particularly for our youth, numb them down and dumb them and make them not impotent, unable to be functioning members of our society? Okay, we can help a few people, that's good, but to abandon the general welfare of what, most people are sober most of the time, most people have their rational mind about them. When we've got all things with alcohol and marijuana already out there, why do we want to do this, Mr. Speaker? Look at the homeless. They were just right on our doorstep the other day. Those who are around yelling and talking to themselves. Look at the prisons filled with people. What are we doing to our society? What is America doing to the mental health? We don't have mental health institutions anymore. We do not have the carrying capacity to drug our people any further. Mr. Speaker, we've gone far enough, and this bill pushes a nice warm and fuzzy kind of, yeah, it's going to be okay. But look at the results on the streets, look at the results in the mental institutions, look at the results in the prisons. We are punishing our people by doing things such as this, Mr. Speaker. Please, everyone, listen closely to those negative voices and those who know what's going on in the psychological associations, in the medical association, and in the public safety sector. Other than that, I have no strong feelings about this bill.
Representative Takayama,
Mr. Speaker, in support.
proceed.
Just want to note that the current governor is a medical doctor himself, and that his Office on Wellness and Resilience testified in strong support before the Judiciary Committee in support of this bill because of its possibility of furthering the dialogue as to psilocybin's role in treating mental health illnesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Capella,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In strong support, can I adopt the words of both the chair and the vice chair of Judiciary into the journal as if they were my own?
so ordered. Representative Pierick,
In opposition.
proceed.
Not to be hubris, but to compare what the previous representative said about the doctor governor approving it. I have a doctorate in counseling. I have my application approved in mental health counseling, and I disagree with this. This is not good for the community.
Representative Alcos,
With reservations.
so ordered. All right, members, with no further discussion, Representative Gates.
In strong support, may I adopt the words of the Chair and Vice Chair of Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs and make mention that we are prescribing antidepressants and all these other prescription drugs to treat these conditions that are mentioned in this bill. And this provides a natural mean for residents to access similar types of care. And I think that we should further the discussion on this matter, and I appreciate the time. Mahalo.
So ordered. Representative Peruso,
In strong support,
proceed.
may I adopt the words of the representative from Waianae and insert them into the journal as if they were my own?
So ordered. Representative Kahaloa,
Same request.
so ordered. All right, members, with no further comments, we're going to move on to the next page. SCR 209-24, SCR 210-24. Representative Garcia,
Reservations.
so ordered. Moving to SCR 211-24, Representative Pierick,
No vote.
so ordered. Representative Garcia,
Same request.
so ordered. Moving to SCR 212-24. Next page. SCR 213-24. SCR 214-24. Representative Garcia,
No vote.
so ordered. Moving to SCR 215-24. Next page. SCR 216-24, Representative Hussey Burdick,
Reservations, please.
so ordered. Representative Ward,
No vote, please.
so ordered. Representative Tam,
No vote.
so ordered. Representative Capella,
Same request.
so ordered. Representative Peruso,
No vote.
so ordered. Representative Lowen,
No vote.
so ordered. Representative Keela,
With reservations, brief comment.
proceed.
I want to thank the introducer for this bill for exempting anything past West Oahu and Ko'olina to not include any gaming establishments. There are still concerns around the subject matter, but I will reference in a community survey that was distributed to the House District 44. There is not appetite for this kind of conventional style of gambling, but there is an appetite to explore a state lottery system. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Poi Poi,
Thank you, Speaker. Reservations, please. Thank you.
so ordered. Representative Matayoshi,
Yeah, a no vote, brief comment.
proceed.
As far as gambling goes, I do consider it a kind of a regressive tax on less wealthy people. If we, I don't mean to disparage the intent of the bill to help certain populations, but if we're going to help them, I think we should be taxing people who can better afford it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Garcia,
No vote.
so ordered. Representative Kobayashi,
Mr. Speaker, a no vote. Gambling works because there are more losers than winners. Why would the state want to create a system where we endorse losers to lose more? Thank you.
thank you. Representative Martin,
No vote, please.
so ordered. Representative Alcos,
No vote.
so ordered. Representative Ganadin,
I'd like to adopt the words of the representative from District 44 as my own in support of maybe like scratchers, but maybe not this kind of gambling. Thanks.
So ordered. Representative Chan?
Reservations.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Souza?
With reservations, thank you.
So ordered. Representative Garrett?
Same request, please. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Pierick?
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto?
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Ichiyama?
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Quinlan?
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Takayama?
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Amato?
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Holt?
Thank you, and strong support.
Proceed.
I appreciate all the comments regarding gambling, and just to let you guys know that the genesis of this bill comes from the continual underfunding of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. This measure is to increase funding for our Native Hawaiian organization, which has historically been an afterthought. So just a little bit of history. I'm not going to go all the way back to the overthrow, but in terms of statehood, the terms of statehood had considered the plight of the Hawaiian people, specifically in the Admission Act of 1959. Section 5F, the act refers to Crown and government lands of the Hawaiian Kingdom, which have been designated ceded to the Republic of Hawaii and then to the United States. The act conveyed these lands to the new state of Hawaii with the caveat that revenues were to constitute a trust for 5 purposes. One of those purposes was the betterment of the conditions of Native Hawaiians. By any measure, those conditions were sorely in need of improvement, but by 1978, they had not changed for the better, as the state's trust obligation went ignored. In 1978, a constitutional convention was called to review and revise the functions of the responsibilities of the Hawaii's government. And at the convention, the Native Hawaiian legislative package was considered by delegates. Among provisions incorporated into the new state constitution was the establishment of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs as a public trust with a mandate to better the conditions of both Native Hawaiians and the Hawaiian community in general. OHA was to be funded with a pro rata share of revenues from state lands designated as ceded. To follow that, in 1979, the legislature enacted Chapter 10 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, implementing the changes to the Constitution and making OHA a semi-autonomous, self-governing body. Subsequent legislation has further defined the amount of revenue stream accruing to OHA. So the amount owed to OHA has always been in question, but what is clear is that it is up to the legislature, us, to define the amount OHA shall receive. Just to read a bit of a quote from Chief Justice Moon's opinion in the case OHA versus State of Hawaii in 2001, how the state satisfies that constitutional obligation requires policy decisions that are primarily within the authority and expertise of the legislative branch. As such, it is incumbent upon the legislature to enact legislation that gives effect to the right of Native Hawaiians to benefit from ceded land trusts. Further, it says, we trust that the legislature will re-examine the state's constitutional obligation to Native Hawaiians and the purpose of HRS 10-13.5 and enact legislation that most effectively and responsibly meets those obligations. So in 1997, the amount given to OHA was set at $15.1 million. And it stood there for 25 years until 2022 when we increased the amount to $21.5 million. I think by any means we can all agree that a $5 million increase in 25 years does not keep up with how much land values have increased over that same period. So this measure here intends to give revenues from this casino an additional $50 million to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Now, I am unaware of any other measures or proposals that we have to increase the Office of Hawaiian Affairs because, as I mentioned, it's become an afterthought. So, I was recently asked by a colleague, how come we don't increase the amount given to OHA? And I didn't have an answer. But I'd like to pose a question to all of you. Why don't we make this right and correctly fund OHA as intended by the Constitution? Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Todd?
Thank you. In support?
Proceed.
I figure I'd build on this positive momentum and add my own thoughts. I generally believe, whether it's substances, just human behavior in general, most gambling issues, that we'd be better off lifting prohibition and just stepping in as a regulator, because it removes a lot of the organized crime element that currently takes place in game rooms across the state, or in places we're not even sure actually exist, but probably do. But beyond that, I think it's kind of a, albeit complicated, if we are going to add a new revenue stream, I do believe that it should be benefiting an entity like OHA or the HHL for that purpose. And beyond that, I think the estimate currently is that Hawaii residents take 300,000 trips to Las Vegas annually. If we could just capture a certain percentage of that revenue that we're currently exporting, I think we'd be better off for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Souza.
Mr. Speaker, I probably should have said this sooner, but request for a ruling on a potential conflict.
State your conflict.
My brother is a trustee at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Your disclosure, there's no conflict. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Ganadin.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to change my position in support. I think that this advances an important conversation about the appropriate use of the taxation from ceded lands. 3 years ago, we had a similar conversation about the use of gaming funds for the appropriate payment for services and land use for the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. What resulted in that was over 2 years of important conversation. So for those purposes, in support.
Thank you. Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Still in opposition, I want to thank the representative from Iwalei for that history of the failure of this body and this building to do what's right, and not just what's pono and righteous, but what is constitutionally mandated in paying OHA their full 20% of public land trust revenue. Also, I do want to note, it was mentioned that there's no other bills this session to do that. Well, if the majority would sometimes just read the minority bills, we had a bill in there to pay OHA their full 20% of public land trust revenue minus gambling. No vote.
Thank you. All right, members. Representative Ward.
Speaker, no vote.
Proceed.
And with agreement with the chair of the Hawaiian Caucus in that we need to fund more generously OHA. But as my colleague just noted, we need to do it the way that has been legally, statutorily, constitutionally said that 20% of the ceded land revenues should go to OHA. So when we pose the question, what should we do? Well, let's do what's right, let's do what's legal, let's do what's on the books, and give them their due. This is not rocket science. And you can understand why you want to go on. You want to do gambling? Well, it's a shortcut because you can't get the 20%. You can't raise things otherwise. So as we nickel and dime them, they want to do a side run. But in effect, it's because we have not given them what we are legally obliged to do, and that's 20% of the ceded lands. Mr. Speaker, not rocket science. Let's do what's right. And I think the saying is, if you're pono, that's your ono. You're ono if you're pono, and I think that's what we need to do with this bill. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative Ward. Members, we're going to move on to SCR 217-24. Representative Todd.
Thank you. I figured I'd get ahead of the curve with this one. So I'm in support of HB 2765, and I've introduced similar measures in the past. If there's such a thing as low-hanging fruit, even lower-hanging fruit than the lottery, it is this proposal. Sports wagering is already happening constantly. If you watch any ESPN broadcast, a company that is owned and operated by Disney, the most maybe potentially falsely positive and good vibe company possible, right? This is like a very American apple pie type of company. Constant ads for sports gambling. It exists everywhere. It's currently happening probably in offices throughout the Capitol on people's phones. This would do very little harm, and all it would allow us to do is regulate and capture some revenue. This does not bring along with it the social ills that we would attach with something that's as bold as a casino. Very little potential for negative outcomes, but we'd capture some revenue, we'd regulate what is currently an unregulated market. And just anecdotally, as someone who's coached high school football for quite a while, It's not unusual to find out before a game we're playing that there's a line on our games. This is already happening constantly and everywhere. We'd just be better off regulating it and stepping in and kind of fulfilling our responsibility as a regulator, which we so often cast aside in cases like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Quinlan.
Great speech. May I adopt the words of the previous speaker and a no vote? Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Keela.
Mr. Speaker, with reservations, may I adopt the words of the Chair of Transportation and clarify the only thing on my phone is Pokemon Go. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Peruso.
No vote, but I would like to adopt the words of the Chair of Transportation.
So ordered. Representative Matayoshi.
No vote, and I do not want to adopt his words. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Capella.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Lowen.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Tam.
Just reservations.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
No vote, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Martin.
Can I
No
make
vote,
a comment
please.
on it? Gregor, Speaker.
Representative Alcos.
No vote on this bill for the reasons why, my dad, back in the days, he was running a 6-5 gambling with football, basketball. And I've seen many families break up. They lost their home, they lost their wife, and I didn't see any family get ahead in life by gambling. I mean, I love gambling myself, but if I took it into a serious way, I think I would lose my family as well. I feel that gambling does bring a threat to our local family, so I'm against this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Garcia, let's just register your vote. Yeah.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Martin.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Souza.
Reservations, thank you.
So ordered. Representative Hussey Burdick.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Chun.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative
Thank you.
Matsumoto.
Reservations.
So ordered.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Garrett.
Reservations, please. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Poi Poi.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Ichiyama.
Same request, please.
So ordered. Representative Perrick.
In opposition.
So ordered. Proceed.
I have a family member who has been addicted to gambling, and this individual basically lost his wife and house through the ordeal. Gambling isn't a gateway towards fun and entertainment for the community. It is a gateway towards addiction and disruption. It does not help the economy. It basically captivates the poor to stay poor by believing that they can get a break someday by hitting the jackpot when statistically they never do.
Thank you. Representative Kobayashi.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support.
Proceed.
I do understand the addiction concerns, and that's why this taxes would be collected to implement a gambling mitigation program, which currently does not exist. As the chair of the Transportation Committee said, there are so many people gambling right now in an unregulated market where you don't even need money to bet. They offer you a credit line, and when you don't pay up, guess what happens? Bad things. So if we were to legalize this and offer people a way to gamble in a legal market, they would need their own funds to gamble. And, along with the illegal gambling and the game rooms, there's all kinds of detrimental factors to our community. And this money would also go towards the Department of Law Enforcement to enforce on these game rooms and illegal gambling that's currently existing. So thank you and in support.
Thank you. Representative Gates.
In support, Speaker.
Proceed.
May I adopt the words of the Transportation Chair and the Economic Business Development Committee as well as if they were my own?
So ordered.
I just would like to also mention that Hawaii is the only other state besides Utah that does not have any form of gambling, and I think that is contributing directly to the illicit markets that we are putting and directing ample funds to go after. So creating a legal means to do that will allow for the state to save some money and even collect revenue, which can go to supporting our communities and addressing the concerns from communities, whether it's the addiction or law enforcement presence. So with that, I stand in strong support. Mahalo.
Thank you. Representative Kahaloa.
Thank you. In support.
Proceed.
And I would also like to adopt the words of the Chair of Economic Development and the Chair of Transportation.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Pyrick.
Thank you. Hawaii is in opposition,
Proceed.
drawing a parallel of how the taxes on gambling can help our state. Hawaii is considered the prostitution or sex trafficking hub of the Pacific. If we then say, let's legalize prostitution, set up a brothel in town, and then we can use the proceeds from those activities to help
Point
the
of order.
families, that's not good.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Capella, your point of
Trafficking
order.
has nothing to do with this bill.
As stated previously, I was drawing a parallel with gambling.
Thank you, Representative Pyrick. All right, members. With no further comments and with great enthusiasm, members will be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Item 7, introductions of resolutions. Mr. Clerk, are there any resolutions for action?
Mr. Speaker, there are no resolutions for action. May all others be referred to print.
So ordered. Item 8, members, are there any announcements? Representative Eslin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Housing and Tourism requests a waiver of the 48-hour advance notice requirement for the purpose of conducting a public hearing with decision-making to follow on HB 2416 relating to taxation.
So ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The public hearing will be held on Friday, February 9th at 9:50 in Conference Room 312.
Thank you. Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since we're talking about trafficking, there is a Stop Human Trafficking conference today in the auditorium, sponsored by my office and Councilmember Tupola's office at 1:30 p.m., which is in about 3 minutes. There'll be a policy panel discussion with the Attorney General, Prosecutor's Office, HPD, Alert Coordinator, and the Department of Homeland Security to discuss legislation on human trafficking bills nationally and locally. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Martin.
Hi, in celebration of Mahina Olelo Hawaii, or Hawaiian Language Lunch Month, my office will be offering every Monday, 12 to 1, if anyone wants to stop in, if your staff wants to stop in while we're on the floor. My office manager, who is bilingual, speaks Hawaiian, is happy to share that and is very enthusiastic to teach others Hawaiian language. So please encourage your staff to stop by. Thank you. We will also have snacks.
Representative Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau and all of our participants in Ag Day today, I just want to say mahalo to the body for making time to meet with local farmers and to try out some of what they have to offer, along with supporting what they're promoting, which is supporting local farmers. And so I want to also thank my vice chair for organizing, as well as the Senate counterparts for their participation as well. Mahalo.
Thank you. All right, members, with no further announcements, Representative Markawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 12 o'clock noon tomorrow.
Representative Garcia.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. The House stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.